Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junnikala, and today we're having a look at Heavyocity's Master Sessions Ethnic Drum Ensembles. So this is a series of percussive instruments. Last time we checked out the ensemble drums, which I estimated would be the kind of the first basic version to look at, or the sort of having the more traditional instruments or Western instruments, I guess. And today it's the turn of the ethnic iteration of this library, and indeed it has 4 different libraries. Just looking up what those are: ensemble drums, ethnic drum ensembles, ensemble metals, ensemble woods. So yeah, together they form this package of them, and indeed that selection would cover a lot of your needs for your drum sounds. Looking at the website here, they call this a new expression of epic. So delivers all the epic of ensemble drums, but this time featuring a selection of drums and percussion from around the world. From taikos to bongos to doumbeks, bodhruns and cajons. These punchy ensembles contain all the thunder with a new unique set of tones and timbres. They say it's designed for composers and sound designers by composers and sound designers. Interface delivers simple, intuitive ways to alter unique tribal drum sounds. Cool. Again, this is done in the same studio as the ensemble drums. So Bunker Studios in Brooklyn. Same gear. I'd imagine they did this in the same session. 6 expressive and punchy ensemble kits. And again, they list about the same stuff that we mentioned there. Over 300 tempo synced phrases in the form of loops, and you can mix and match these as you wish. So that's pretty basic stuff on the website. Not too heavy. The website page for this. Tech specs: 3.38 gigs uncompressed, 1.96 gigs with NI lossless compression. All right, requirements: Contact Player 5, version 5.5.1.451 or higher. Cool. So let's close that website over there and just start digging into this one. In terms of the interface, again, looks there's the exact same as ensemble drums, and that would make sense. Main page, you go master effects on the left. To the right, you have volume envelopes. In the mid, you have a twist knob and a punish knob and a mix for these different mic positions, which confusingly enough are called channels. I mean, not confusing, but I don't know why it makes me think of like, oh, that's a different drum, versus I would prefer to see these as mic positions, like close, mid, far, or something like that. But indeed, they are different recordings. And then you have T effects, which I don't know what T stands for, but probably related to the dynamic nature of them. You have some key switches you can control those with momentarily, which is pretty cool creatively. And then you have an equalizer for all of these channels, as well as a master one. Cool. Right now you're looking at the individual ensembles folder, and this one is the ethnic frame ensemble. So looking at the folder structure really quickly, you open this up, you see kits and loops. We're starting with kits. Here you have effects versions, so these are processed further in specific styles, and these are pretty explanatory: huge, scooped, tight and burnt, etc. These can be useful when you're looking for a specific sound, and let's say you don't do a lot of mixing and tweaking or sound designing yourself. so they can be very useful, especially, you know, if you're looking for like a low boom or something like that. These can instantly deliver that to you. Personally, not a big user of these, so I'm gonna keep it pretty light on those in this demo, but we're in the individual ensemble folder here, and we're gonna start with the frame ensemble. So let's get into it. As touched on in the previous demo, as far as I can tell, the yellow notes here signify the original sample, as far as I can tell. Again, in terms of transparency, Heavyocity did send me this copy, so thank you for them for doing that. That being said, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. Haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. So, and I'm not being paid to make this video otherwise. You'll be hearing only ethnic drum ensembles in action. I have a limiter on the master bus to make the level decent for this video, but it's set to be as transparent as possible. And we'll probably have to adjust that as we move along in this video. But let's start playing. I'll play a bit and get some kind of a level going first. So very first initial impression, I mean, we've only played this one sound, but this sounds significantly better balanced to my taste. Less processed. We're still hearing quite a bit of that reverb from this third channel, but it's balanced a lot better. I like that. So yeah, quite a very, you know, mature, controlled, what's the word I'm looking for? It's well mixed, but it's not. It's like, it's still quite, you know, natural. It's breathing in a very good way. Really like that sound. The nice kind of a wet, dispersed transient. That's actually a very perfect touch there. This feels like it, again, we don't go super low in the dynamics, but this feels far more appropriate to me. Like, I'm not, would I love a bit more dynamics here? Yes, but it feels, it's very, very nicely balanced. And again, it's kind of like remaining in the low mid velocity range to me, but a super nice sound. Let's play this other area as well, which at least in the other library seemed to me to be kind of more processed, harder, edgier version, or at least sampled harder. So let's see what it's like. Yeah, these definitely feel a bit more organic, less aggressive. I really, really like this sound. This is super, super, super nice to play. Again, it's, you know, it doesn't go super quiet, so it's not gonna, like, I would love to build from like a very quiet, low rumbling into this big crescendo, but it doesn't really allow you to do that. Especially like if this is a frame drum ensemble. Frame drums have a beautiful resonance in the low dynamic range, so I'm kind of like, I wish that could come through a bit more. But yeah, nice smack. It's wet, it's dispersed, it's very balance. And again, this has like a meaty body, like a hefty body to it. It's not like a, again, it wants to be a hard badass more than it wants to be a sensitive, quiet boy. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's go into heavy bottom ensemble. Let's pull back the limiter a bit so we have a bit more space to work with. Let's pull back even more. There you can begin to hear the reverberation again, and the kind of the compression of it happen more. Again, it could be natural, but you know, I'm going to turn that off here. Well, actually, let's just pull it back. Again, I prefer this more organic, open sound. Very nice sound. It's kind of like heavy-handed, a bit ominous, you know, kind of a build-up kind of a sound. Yeah, very, very cool. I like it. Again, super playable. More dynamic range would be fantastic, so you could express a bigger range of things, but you know, that's what they wanted to go with. Again, the right zone there is a bit too heavy-handed for me altogether, but it's like a hard-hitting version of what seems to be here on the left. This is high 2 ensemble. So again, the reverb works better here. I'm going to pull back the position even further. So again, obviously this has a smaller sound the more you lessen the mic position, but what's really nice is that these are so dry and controlled that you can throw your own reverb there if you don't like the sound of this space. So that's a really good mix of instruments. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff in there. Really like the transient smack of this is really good. The impact point is very nice, and these will be fantastic for a lot of like that hard-hitting, heavy-handed trailer or cinematic action music. And yeah, again, here the reverb works a lot better on the third channel. But I would probably go with a third party personally. But, you know, that's a taste matter, I guess. But yeah, super playable. Maps very nicely. Again, yearning for that dynamic, but that lower third dynamic, but it is what it is. Oh, super snappy, light, responsive sound. Again, I'm going to pull down the reverb on this one. Let's do without it completely first. Yeah, it would be so much more expressive if I had a bit of those quieter dynamics in there. Cool. And then with a bit more of that reverb. Yeah, it works a lot better in this. This space works a lot better with these instruments, I find. That's cool. Then we have ethnic low. Let's pull down the limiter here. Getting a bit too much limiter action there. I'm gonna pull that all the way back. Contact itself is flipping a bit, so some adjustment would be cool there. Again, the kind of the crispy transient field there. The impact points are really spot on, very nice. Again, super playable. Yearning for that lower dynamic there, because it could be so good to have that like low rumble, and then it could kind of like vroom, you know, rise from those lower dynamics there. But otherwise, a really fantastic sound there as well. Yeah, these are going to be like super good for action stuff or trailer, etc. Ethnic mid. Let's put some volume on there, and let's pull back the reverb a bit, or the space. Again, great sound, beautiful, transient feel, kind of dispersed, wet, crispy. Some of those here get a bit jumbled up in the high end, so I would use something like a spiff to cut out some of the overlapping frequencies there in the transients, because it gets a bit harsh on the ear if they overlap in a certain way. But yeah, very nice. These are very nice selections of instruments they've paired, and they go together very nicely. Again, I'm not going to talk about the dynamics once again, because I think you get the point and get the opinion. But it really makes you want it to be there. It is that good that you just you know, yearn more in terms of that. I do want to. Let's try the high RAM versions. Let's do the mid one, because that's like fresh on the mind. They feel somehow more responsive. Maybe there is just more samples that it's loading up. It doesn't exactly, like, still the dynamic range doesn't go deeper, but I'm guessing these are like sort of lighter versions, and then you have like a full, all the sample versions, because it does feel a bit sort of grainier in a good way. Like there's more resolution to what you're dealing with. So I wonder whether it's that, what is happening. Then you have menus. So these are menus all. Let's do that. Let's also pull down the limiter here. So here the kick gets very loud very easily. So yeah, very cool. I would adjust the kick balance there, but that's super. The instruments are really well sampled if you don't account for the dynamic range there, but yeah, really beautifully captured, and they pair super well together. Like there are no issues in that regard. So this is the organic version. Really hard not to clip the limiter with the kick there in relation to everything else, but yeah, organic. I mean, in terms of the sound, it's not immensely different from the all, but yeah, it does sound a bit different. Cool. Then you have the effects versions. We'll just we'll do one tight punch scoop just to give you an idea. Give you different kind of mixes pre-made. That's actually very good sounding, very snappy, super balanced. Let's do low ensemble, snappy, thin. Gives you a good idea of how flexible the sounds are. Even if it's a low ensemble, you can get it to be something like a mid-rangey thing as we have here. Cool. Going into loops, let's do loop menus. So basically single loops just take the individual loop elements from these loop menu things. So again, what I really love about this this approach is that it's kind of like a linear thing where you can then kind of reverse engineer where you want to go. So let's say you play like a full loop from here. every single element you hear in there is it consists of different individual elements. So all the kicks, snares, the high things, all of these break down into individual loops, and we're in all full loops now, which means it's combining loops to form, you know, this one single loop. But that is broken down into kicks, snares, etc., or usually 4 elements. So let's say I just heard something I really liked. I can then go into, let's say, Breakout 3, because these are usually, to my understanding, split, you know, all the all loops patch was about, I think, 4 octaves, and then it's broken down into sections 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you just see where you were, go into that breakout, and then all of the elements in there are broken down into individual elements. Then I could also play all of them together. Well, actually, I think what it's doing is, yep, so the lowest octave plays all of these 3 here. But if I want to do it myself, I can play the upper octaves. But then I can also combine things. So let's say I want to have the loop from here, from this octave, loop from here, from this octave, and loop from here. So this would be just a random example, but so very cool stuff. Then you can even, you know, have even more control in terms of going into the single loops. Just to the individual elements here, but yeah, it's a fantastic system. If you work with loops at all, this is probably the best way to do it. And as I've said before, that's my trousers not tearing, but I have Velcro there, so Velcro is opening up. Yeah, I mean, the way Heavyocity does these is they make the single loops the individual loops very simple, very. They have a ton of character, a lot of creativity, but they're very simple. So it means you can kind of mix and match them in ways that you want to use, and they are they're just really well put together. And in many cases, they're basic ideas that you would or could come up with, but they're actually, you know, played by a professional, programmed by a professional, you know, programmed, arranged, etc. And they're just really well produced. So in many cases, they're far better than what many people can conjure up back home, which is good for you and good for your music. But yeah, I mean, this is just a fantastic thing. And I mean, as you can hear, these are super well produced, very, very, very high quality stuff. Yeah, I mean, come on. These are so well programmed. I mean, just mixed. They're just so ready to go. Very, very maturely done. So, yeah, and none of the concerns I have of some of the, like the room mic position there, or some of the compression, saturation that is excessive to me. None of that is present here in the loops. So they're really, really well produced and mixed. So again, to me, probably the biggest selling point of these libraries again seem to be the loops and the, you know, productional quality, the sound design, the mixing, the programming that Heavyocity does. And again, we have the MUTATOR thingy here. I'm very much a novice with this, but it's basically a sequencer that takes these loops and then it tells Kontakt to play them in varying ways, which brings you even more complexity, more creativity. Basically, it's infinite what you can do with this. Let's sorry about the level there. Let's pull that back down. So as you can see in the blue zone here, Kontakt is actually like playing these different loops, these different positions. And you go in here, the MUTATOR, you have a sequencer here with control over velocity, length, and then you have the loop control, and this controls, to my understanding, which loop gets triggered, because it has this, step control here. And then it cycles through these different patterns. So yeah, you can see it goes through 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And you can obviously adjust all of this. But yeah, super creative. Yeah, there's really no end to what you can do with that. But cool, I think that that covers pretty much everything that there is here to look at. I think this was a lot more to my liking than the ensemble drums. I think these ethnic drums really work better in this recorded space, and they are of a quality in nature that speaks to me more in terms of the sound. I mean, I love all these kind of ethnic drums. I use them all the time, and oftentimes more than I use the kind of typical suspects. But they are fantastically sampled, really well done. Again, I wish they had more of that lower dynamic. It would make them perfect. They are super playable, whatever the samples are that are mapped here, even if they don't go quiet enough for me. They are super well mapped and super responsive and playable. The imaging is beautiful, the body of the sound is beautiful, the transient response with that kind of wet contact point is super good. And again, this is more on that edgier end of sounds. These are more hard hitting than wanting to be super expressive and sensitive. So to me, the velocity really kind of downwards only extends to maybe kind of like low mid velocities, or maybe upper quiet velocities. So that's worth thinking about. But if you're doing like action music or trailer music or anything, epicer, then this is absolutely fantastic. And the instruments are super well balanced and paired together. So that aspect is fantastically done. The effects here, what we tried here, they were all actually really solid. So those are worth exploring as mixing starting points if you don't like to do a lot of your own mixing. And even if you do, it's better to start in a better place than it is to start in a worse place. So yeah, I know, infinite wisdom from my part. And yeah, the loops are world class. And again, I love the approach they have here, because it's kind of like very reverse engineering, linear. Find something you like, break it down, use that, combine as you wish. And then the MUTATOR is just like a next level expansion of that. So yeah, very nice. This so far out of the master sessions, this one is my favorite. So interested in checking out also the two other ones that remain from this package. So if you have this back home or at your studio, let me know what you think. There are many things I'm sure I missed here and didn't cover. And let me know what you think about this video down in the comments. So that's it for this video. Thank you to Heavyocity for sending this over once again. And for those of you listening and watching, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Finished.